As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. Psalm 42, verse 1. Good morning from day 3 of our journey. Today started bright and early, with a 7 a.m. departure as we set out toward the enchanting Sea of Galilee. Our route took us through the dramatic terrain of the Golan Heights, an area steeped in both natural beauty and historical tension. The winding roads and steep cliffs were a bit nerve-wracking, but our skilled driver navigated them like a pro. And soon, we arrived at the harbor for our next adventure, a boat ride across the Sea of Galilee. Rami, our guide, pointed out the unique black basalt rocks along the harbor, a reminder of the region's volcanic history. Once aboard the fishing boat, we set out across the water. Rami began sharing the significance of the places around us. Off in the distance lay the region of the Gerasenes, where Jesus cast demons into a herd of pigs, an incredible moment when even the spirits recognized his divine authority. As I listened, my attention drifted to a solitary white bird gliding effortlessly above the water. Its pure, luminous wings reminded me of the Spirit of God descending like a dove during Jesus' baptism. It was a beautiful, quiet moment, one that invited reflection. But then we were treated to a New Testament-style fishing demonstration. The performance was captivating and was accompanied by a cheerful song about casting nets. No fish were caught, but the effort certainly made for good storytelling. Before the ride ended, the boat's captain surprised us by raising an American flag and playing the national anthem. It was a heartfelt gesture, underscoring Israel's gratitude for America's support. Moments like these reminded me of the deep complexities of this region, a place of ancient history and modern challenges, where cultures intersect in profound ways. But my favorite part of the cruise came at the end, when the captain invited us to join in a traditional Jewish dance. Hand in hand, we formed a circle, stepping in sync to lively music. It was a beautiful, authentic moment that brought us closer together, not just as travelers, but as people sharing in the joy of another's culture. From the boat, we headed to Tapka, the traditional site of the feeding of the 5,000. The church here features a stunning mosaic of 2 fish and a basket of bread, commemorating the miracle. When Jesus blessed 5 loaves and 2 fish, he created more than just a meal. He revealed himself as the bread of life, the source of abundance and hope. The next stop on our journey was Capernaum, often called the hometown of Jesus, while Jesus' actual hometown was Nazareth. He lived in Capernaum for 2.5 years, making it a central hub of his ministry. Capernaum is significant because several key events in Jesus' life took place here. For instance, it was where he called Matthew to be his disciple. He saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him, and Matthew did. It was also where Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand and the fever left her. And it's where Jesus healed the servant of a Roman centurion who pleaded for help. One of the main attractions here is a first-century room believed to be part of Peter's house. The walls of the room feature markings and prayers mentioning Peter. Although visitors cannot enter the room to see these markings, it's believed that this space may have been the first Christian gathering place. Later, the Byzantines built a church around this room, parts of which still stand, including a mosaic floor. Above the ruins, a modern church now sits, with a glass floor that allows visitors to peer into Peter's house below. As I stood looking down into Peter's room, my pastor pointed out 2 kittens digging at the mosaic floor. This made me laugh, as I thought about the stark contrast between us visitors who venerated the site and these animals that were oblivious to its significance. It reminded me of how objects, whether floors, relics, or even the Ark of the Covenant, are not inherently holy, but are made holy by God's presence. Capernaum also features a 4th century synagogue with some standing columns, and the remains of a 1st century synagogue below it. The black basalt stones, characteristic of the Galilee region, gave the ruins a striking appearance. Rami suggested that the elaborate synagogue might have been financed by a wealthy Roman friend of the Jews, possibly even the centurion whose servant Jesus healed. Before leaving, I found a grove where visitors could sit and read or teach from the Bible. One particular arrangement of stone seats under the shade of a tree caught my attention. Sitting there, I imagined Jesus and his disciples gathered in such a setting, with Jesus teaching from the center stone, symbolizing the root of understanding, while the disciples spread his message as branches giving shade to the world. Our final stop of the day was Caesarea Philippi, a site rich in both natural beauty and historical meaning. This area features a massive cave surrounded by the ruins of a temple dedicated to the pagan god Pan. Rami explained that the Romans associated the cave and its water source with Pan, seeing it as a sacred place. It was here that Jesus brought his disciples for a retreat and posed the question, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" After various answers, Peter declared, "You are the Messiah." To which Jesus replied, "Now I say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and all the powers of hell will not conquer it." The setting added layers of meaning to Jesus' words. The rock could symbolize Peter's faith, the foundation of the church, while the cave might represent the gates of hell, over which the church would prevail. This contrast between pagan worship and the truth of Christ's message was powerful to witness. At the base of the cave, water flowed through a series of ponds, fed by streams from Mount Hermon. I dipped my hand into the water, which felt cold, smooth, and refreshing. Pouring it over my face, I was struck by how it embodied the metaphors of spiritual renewal found in Scripture. Rami mentioned a psalm that speaks of longing for God's presence as one longs for water in a dry land. The experience deepened my appreciation for such imagery, making this stop a fitting end to a meaningful day. It was a day filled with contrasts, quiet moments of reflection and lively bursts of energy. But through it all, one thing was clear. This land holds stories that continue to inspire and connect us across generations.